The Starship Enterprise-E was a Sovereign-class vessel that was launched from Earth's San Francisco yard in 2372. She also played a major role in saving Earth from Borg invasion of 2373, and 6 years later also saved the Federation from Romulan. The decision was taken to christen the Enterprise-E following the destruction of her predecessor, the Enterprise-D, in 2371. The senior staff at the Enterprise-D under Captain Picard were assigned to the new ship, which was still under the construction at the San Francisco yard. The ship ended in 2379 and underwent a major refit that saw Captain Picard taking on a new generation of officers, as many of her senior staff moved on to other positions, following the loss of the Galaxy-class Enterprise NCC 1701D in 2371. Starfleet opted to make the next Enterprise a Sovereign-class ship and gave the name to a vessel that was already near completion. Like the Enterprise-D, she was made Starfleet's flagship. By this point, Picard himself had turned down several opportunities to be promoted, but felt that he was best suited to commanding a ship that was on active duty. The Enterprise-E started her career with a 1-year cruise in which all the major systems were tested. However, in 2373, her mission was interrupted by the second Borg invasion. The design of the Sovereign class was heavily influenced by the Borg invasion. Following Starfleet's initial encounter with the Borg, it recognized the need for a heavily armored, more compact ship that could withstand attack from the superior Borg vessel. The Enterprise-E, which entered service in 2372, was a smaller, faster vessel than her predecessor. Unlike the Galaxy class, there was no provision for families, and she had a smaller crew. However, because of the period in which she operated, the Enterprise-E spent a significant amount of time involved in military operations. Despite her heavy armaments, the Enterprise-E was still principally a research and exploration vessel, with a full complement of science labs and appropriate mission specialists. For a size comparison, let's start with the SpaceX SN-10, which is about 50 meters in height or 165 feet, and the Airbus A320, which is about 38 meters or 123 feet in length. In the background is a smaller Enterprise-A, which is around 305 meters or 1,000 feet in length and 75 meters or 246 feet in height. While the much larger Enterprise-D is around 642 meters or 2,106 feet in length. The ship has a total of 42 decks and can accommodate 1,914 personnel. The longer Enterprise-E is around 685 meters or 2,247 feet in length, with about 24 decks, and can accommodate about 1,500 crew. It can potentially reach a warp speed of 9.995. Even though it's longer than the Enterprise-D, it's smaller in terms of volume. The Enterprise-E's more compact shape made her a more powerful ship in combat, but still followed the basic layout favored by Starfleet for over 200 years. The saucer section had been elongated to become an oval, but still a distinctive section that contains the crew's quarters and the majority of the science labs, while the secondary hall contained the engineering systems. At the top of the saucer section was the bridge, several escape pods, the phaser array, and the impulse engines located at the back. The twin warp nacelles were still supported by the pylons and used superheated plasma generated in a matter-antimatter reactor. Significant improvements were made on the Enterprise-E warp nacelles, most of which were designed to provide additional multiple redundancy and to increase safety. The new nacelles, which had 26 sets of warp coils, featured a fail-safe resource collector module. The Enterprise-E engines were both efficient and more powerful than its predecessor. The redesign gave the ship a cruising speed of warp 8 and could comfortably reach warp 9.95. The nacelles feature a twin reaction control thrusters assembly for altitude control and sub-speed maneuver, and added emergency plasma vents to the nacelles pylon. This allowed the engineering staff to vent plasma directly from the warp nacelles. reducing the likelihood of a warp core overload that would force the crew to eject the core. At the back of the primary hull was the shuttle bay and the secondary shuttle bay for the engineering hull. The Enterprise-E was initially fitted with 5 torpedo tubes arranged in 2 torpedo launchers, a tractor beam emitter housing, a warp core ejection hatch, and a phaser strip on the ventral engineering hull. Similar to the Galaxy class, the ship also had an auxiliary vessel known as the Captain's Yacht, which was docked on the underside of the saucer section. And close by was the main navigational deflector on the secondary hull. And located at the front of the primary hull was the RCS thrusters and the navigational deflector. At the time, she used the latest weapons throughout her career, including quantum torpedoes and random modulated phasers, both of which were developed to fight the Borg. The engineering and saucer section were designed to separate and could operate independently from one another. The main bridge occupied its traditional position on Deck 1 at the top of the saucer section. The layout of the bridge followed the basic design of the Enterprise-D. The rest of Deck 1 consists of the captain's ready room, the head, and a briefing room. One obvious innovation was the main view screen was projected holographically and could be switched on and off. Also on either side of the bridge was the replicator terminal to provide refreshments to on-duty crew members. On the starboard side was the science station, environmental control, and the engineering station. The captain's chair was in the center of the room, with the seating to his left and right for his first officer, and any mission specialist he needed to consult. In the departure from previous design, the horseshoe console behind the captain's chair has been broken up. The con and ops station were still next to one another, directly in front of the captain's chair. The tactical station was now to the port of the captain, while the console to the starboard was normally assigned as a science station. On the port side were the second science station, the mission ops, and the second engineering station. Also, 2 turbo lifts were on this deck. A service access port in the floor provided emergency exit in the event of a turbo lift failure. An auxiliary bridge, also known as the battle bridge, was located on Deck 14 in the engineering hull. If the main bridge suffered catastrophic damage or was compromised, control of the ship could be rerouted to the battle bridge. The Sovereign class was always intended to be a fighter ship as well as explorer, and it was heavily armed. At the front of the ship was the officer's quarters, with the photon torpedo launchers above it. The most significant weapon upgrade involved the torpedoes. In her complement of photon torpedoes, the Enterprise-E carried the latest quantum torpedoes, which could be fired at warp speed and have a greater yield than her predecessor. The yield of the quantum torpedo is more than double that of conventional photon torpedo by using zero-point energy. The ship was fitted with a holodeck that could create a completely convincing replica of any place by using a combination of hologram, replicated technology, and moving force. Located below the bridge was the computer core, which housed the primary processing equipment, several water storage compartment, observation lounge, and a holo suite which ran holographic programs similar to the holodeck. A computer core used the latest bio-neural circuitry, a synthetic cell to process data faster than traditional isolinear optical circuitry. At the top was the bridge and the senior officer's observation lounge close by, and at the bottom of the primary hall was the captain's yacht, which was used for diplomatic mission and negotiation. In addition, the ship had several vertical jetway tubes which were used to access various systems, a horizontal turboshaft, and a cryogenic gas storage bay. Behind the main deflector was the main deflector generator compartment, the shuttle flight control, the control room, and the sick bay complex. The warp core is almost exactly in the midpoint of the ship and ran the full height of the engineering hall with the main engineering next to it, while the antimatter storage pods were located on the bottom of the ship on deck 23. In addition, the secondary computer core, the repair engineering workshop, and the photon torpedo launch was located on the engineering hall. A dedicated computer core could operate independently when the ships separate, which ran between decks 17 and 19. The Enterprise-E relied on a transporter for most missions, but also carried a wide range of auxiliary vehicle from standard shuttle to longer range scout vessel. The ship had 2 shuttle bays, one at the rear of the saucer and the other one at the aft end of the engineering hall with traditional clamshell doors, and the impulse dry bay with additional cargo bay for storage. The Enterprise-E own shield have higher energy capacity than its predecessor and also been designed to be resistant to Borg's weapons, which was instrumental in defending Earth from second Borg invasion. The Enterprise-E is probably one of my favorite ships due to its overall design layout. With the elongated oval-shaped primary hull and low profile, the ship has a more modern look and feel compared to its predecessor, but inherit many of the same traditional design elements from previous vessels, like the original Enterprise, the Enterprise-A and D. The ship is faster and more compact, which made it more flexible during battle, using a more powerful computer system and the quantum torpedoes. So what are your thoughts on the Enterprise-E? There is also a 23-deck schematics on the Enterprise-E, which I haven't gotten the time to model. Is that something you want to see? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.